in 2026, do not move or come or think or breathe of going to Hawaii. I'm not the one that said it. This is not my words. This is not my words, but a lot of people have been able to share their experience why you should not come. Hawaii is one of the places I seriously wish to go to for vacation as well. Like just to go see things, because I see a lot of videos where people say, oh, if you need a beautiful place to come for a vacation, come to Hawaii. But surprisingly, that now Hawaii is trending, that a lot of people are now saying, boycott Hawaii, do not come to Hawaii. In fact, if you do not know what to do with your vacation money, sit down in your home country and don't come. Anyways, I will leave you guys to watch their reasons. Like I said, I didn't come into this conclusion. Look at the people that have gone to Hawaii, stayed in Hawaii, lived in Hawaii, to give you whatever they want to give you. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And guys, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do it, subscribe. And I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking my videos, dropping commentaries. I really appreciate. I do not take you guys for granted. And now, with that being said, let's dive right into this video. Why people should not come to Hawaii.
If you're black, do not come to Hawaii unless you have a strong soul and you like hearing non-black people say the N-word in every sentence like it's their favorite word. You're fine with them beating you up if you say something about it. Don't ask how I know this, just beware. Heed my warnings. Every sentence, they say it. Everyone. And everyone is not black.
What would you say if people want to move to Hawaii?
Here's my answer. Do not. Look, I totally understand how people get so inspired to come and to live and move to Hawaii. And I also understand how people's perspective about Hawaii being a part of the United States being a free country, and therefore any American can do whatever they want within laws within the jurisdiction of the US. Which is quite misinformed, but we'll talk about that another time. So please hear me out on this one. I do not encourage people to move to Hawaii unless you have kuleana or you have ohana or both. In other words, if you have an occupation that is going to bring you to Hawaii, there's not much you can do about that. All we invite you to do is to get educated, to get integrated correctly. Or if you are Kanaka and Kama'aina who have been displaced and are preparing to moving back home, of course, hele mai. And yet, besides all of this, here's the message. If you are not Kanaka or Kama'aina, there is a kuleana, a higher duty that you must uphold when you are living here. And this is a duty that we all share, and you have to take part in it, or else you will inevitably become another invasive species in our endangered home. Mahalo.
If you black, don't go to Hawaii, this creator said, because a lot of people there say the N-word all the time. And if you say something about it, they're going to beat you up, right? And everybody in the comments like, beat up who? Because I don't play about saying the N-word. Now, I've seen people from Hawaii fight. And I don't know if everybody does MMA, but everybody has a subset higher than regular fighting abilities. I promise you. Look up 2 people fighting in Hawaii. The skill level is not an average street brawl. It ain't all that grappling, tussling, wild punching, swinging, missing. No, it's accurate punches and kicks. So somebody from Hawaii tell me, how is the average human being so skilled at fighting? I done been in a lot of fights. You could tell who can fight within a couple seconds of them throwing their first punch, or even their stance. You can tell if they can fight. I done watched a couple people from Hawaii fight, not no professional fighters, just the average dudes hanging out at the beach. And when they throw down, they throwing down. So when she says, be prepared to get beat up, it's a reason she put emphasis on that. Because she done obviously grew up seeing them fight. And they can fight for some reason. So I want to know, why can people in Hawaii fight so well compared to just the average person that I've seen fight? I don't know what it is. Maybe they all trained growing up. I don't know. Somebody help me out.
First off, where are you from?
I am from Honolulu, Hawaii.
What is one thing you would like tourists to know or to understand about Hawaiian culture?
Respect is number one. When you come here, that's all we ask is to respect our culture, respect our people. Other than that, a Hawaiian person or a Polynesian person will welcome you anytime. To put it out there, they really want to see locals or Polynesian people serving them, which is hard for us as locals out here because the police or people complain because we don't belong here, out here doing this. Most of us is out here just to support our family and share our culture with people because everywhere you go is commercialized and everything is like a script. Rent out here is like $3,000. There's no way I would be able to do it.
But no, it's good that you have your. Oh, sorry.
Isn't I'm from here, so I wouldn't pick nowhere else to live.
So for the ones that decide to pick up and move somewhere else, I came on here today to let you know that living in Hawaii is not for the weak. So I made the decision a few years ago to leave my home in Atlanta, Georgia, and move all the way across the globe and come to the middle of the Pacific Ocean and move to the beautiful Hawaii. So where do I start? Well, the biggest thing, the biggest shocker to living in Hawaii would be the cost of living. Now, if you military, you might have a BAH and you might be able to live somewhere on the government, but I did not. I did work for the government and I moved here to work for the government. I ain't have no military money to pay for housing, so rent averaging $3,000, $4,000, like that's an average for rent. So although I moved into a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath home that is kind of like resort style living, there's a beach, there's a school, there's a store, there's all these different amenities, golf course, all these different things, the rent was still over $4,000 a month. That's stupid. The rent does not include electric or water or anything else. It's just for having somewhere to live. And so I unfortunately had the pleasure of moving into a unit that participated in what they call community electric. So here I was paying over $4,000 a month in rent and then having to split the monthly cost of the electric bill with my neighbors, and so the electric bill was averaging from $800 a month on up. Crazy work. Everything high, everything high, everything high, including the grocery. You gotta eat. You gotta eat, and as I said, everything high. All the groceries high. Eggs, you know, we just experienced the egg shortage, so the eggs was like $11, $12 for a carton of freaking eggs. You fool around here, get a ground beef for $19, $20. It just don't make no sense. And you better make sure you got a job before you fall off over here looking for a job, because getting a job is not the easiest thing to do over here. So I would suggest already have you one lined up and make sure you can find you a really good job. And although the jobs pay pretty decent over here, you still got to make sure you can be able to pay these high bills with the little coins you make. Also, bring your patience with you if you're gonna be coming to Hawaii, because when I tell you, you literally are driving around the island, everybody and their great grandmamas and their great granddads, everybody got a car or a moped or a scooter. Everybody got some type of way to move around. Oh my God, the traffic is absolutely insane over here. I do love the people though. The people are very friendly. They offered me their ohana and just made me feel very, very welcome. I don't feel like I don't belong here. They've all been, I'm not gonna say all, but majority of them have been very, very welcoming, very tolerant, very, very nice, and really act about like our cousins. Yeah. If you can find you a local friend and come over here and kick it with the locals, I promise you the experience is gonna be much, much, much different. What I found out was that people are really more alike than they are different. And when I tell you these are our cousins, trust and believe, these are our people. I found out the hard way how hard it is sometimes to get products delivered here. You know, I'm a lash girl. I gotta have my lashes. I gotta have certain products, and some things you just not gonna find here. So you gotta get used to having to order things from different places. Sometimes your shipment may not arrive because some folks have sticky fingers. And so sometimes your package don't even come. You got to sit here and go through back and forth, about your deliveries with different places like Amazon, which has been my biggest freaking headache, having my packages stolen, intercepted before they even get to my house. But I've had to employ some patience because I can't swim and get nothing. So I just have to sit here and wait on my items to arrive. Now, I already told you, Hawaii is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so if you're the type of person that's going to get homesick, you better make sure that you got the patience to be able to fly back and forth from the mainland to here. The plane rides are sometimes they real long if you don't get a connecting flight, and they hella expensive, so you ain't gonna just be jumping up unless you just got it like that. But just keep that in mind. Also, be mindful to at least try to understand the Polynesian culture before you come here, so you don't come over here offending nobody. For instance, like, they're really big on taking your shoes off. I'm from Atlanta, so we coming up in the house with them Timbs, with the Jordans, all that on. But here, you need to take off your shoes, your sandals, your slippers, your Crocs. You need to take those items off before you walk up in somebody's house, because it's offensive. And you know how that little saying goes, that what goes on in Vegas, stay in Vegas. Well, the same is true here. What goes on at the beach, at the waters, in the sand, whatever goes on there, leave it there. That means don't be picking up nothing that don't belong to you. If you found a seashell at the beach, you need to leave it right there. Listen to the ocean and put that sucker right back down. If you find some sand and you decide you're gonna get a really good idea, I'm gonna take some home, I think not. I think you better think again, because they will lock you up behind some sand, behind items that don't come over here doing that. Don't come over here taking stuff that don't belong to you. Also, now, nieces and nephews, guess what? Although you don't have to worry about snakes here, when I tell you they got some centipedes as long as my finger here, and of course they do not come to play. So just be mindful that there are a lot of strange little noises that you might not be aware of what it is. Don't go investigate, leave stuff alone, and make sure that you're watching out for these dang on centipedes and them freaking geckos, them little lizard type of little things, because they here too, and there's definitely plenty of them here. Overall, though, the experience of moving to Hawaii has been one of the best decisions that I've ever made, and I would encourage you, come on.
Hawaii is going to be a mecca for rich people, and all of the poor people are going to be pushed off the island at some point, and I think that was their intention in the beginning. LA has cheaper groceries than here. The groceries here are really expensive. I have noticed that in cities, it is easier to find cheaper rent as opposed to like living in a rural place and then getting low hourly and trying to find an apartment. So like I have a 1-bedroom that's $1,100, but we've had this place since 2017, so I would say go to a beach. There's nowhere in America that's like Hawaii, unfortunately. Just come visit.
I just got back from Hawaii, and while it is one of the most beautiful places I've ever visited, and I've been there before, I just want to know, how do people afford to live there? If you are a local and you're living in Hawaii, what are you making to live there? Because I asked a guy that was working at our hotel, one of the tour guides, his name was Aiden, he was so nice, and he goes to university in Hawaii, and when I was talking to him, I was like, do you mind me asking how much minimum wage is here? And he goes, oh, it's about, I think like 14 an hour, 17 an hour. I was just sitting there going, how? How do people afford to live here? Because when I tell you inflation is no joke in Hawaii, it's no joke. You literally have to pay money to breathe there. That's how it felt. Because any little thing you did cost money. They even now charge money to do the Diamond Head hike. They charge you to go to Waimea Bay. I asked the security guy there, I was like, why do you have to pay money to go to this little bay cove? And he goes, oh, it's one of the nicest beaches in Hawaii. BS. You can go to other beautiful beaches, okay? It's just crazy. Everything costs money. And while it's expensive, I'm from Canada, so our conversion in the States is trash. I'm going to give you one example. We paid $14.50 for our hotel before we arrived there, okay? We got to Hawaii, and they said parking is going to cost you $40 US a night. It's $60 Canadian a night. Between me and my mom, we're spending $30 each per night for 5 nights. That's crazy. And there's no parking in the city. We ended up finding street parking, but we had to ask the locals and we had to know like the spots because it's really hard to find. Second of all, our hotel, they were like, oh, there's an amenities fee. There's a freaking amenities fee for the hotel. Did not tell me on the site. Got there and they were like, yeah, it's an additional, I think it was like, I don't even know, 50 a day, 50 US a day. So when we were checking out, it was 300 US extra. That wasn't in the budget. This is 5 days of staying in Hawaii. On top of that, grocery store prices through the roof because food is imported from other parts of wherever it's coming from. So you're paying the inflation. It's insane. I was planning on spending $1,500, $2,000 max. I spent well over $2,000 5 days in Hawaii. My bank account is crying, my soul feels alive, but my bank account is sobbing. It was so expensive. How do people afford to live there? Like, what are you working 10,000 jobs? Like Aiden was telling me at the front desk, he was like, yeah, I work multiple jobs. I work 3 jobs, but even then, how are you affording to live there? What are y'all doing? How much are you making? I'm just so curious. I just want to know.
At the beach, I did end up picking up some rocks. I just want to start off with saying I'm sorry. I did not know it was bad luck taking rocks from Hawaii. I'm so grateful to be here for the second time this year. So I did what I had to do. I brought the rocks back to its home. I woke up and headed to the beach at 6 a.m. So peaceful, meditating and journaling to the sound of the waves. I had to apologize to the island for taking its property. My intentions were not to steal from the island. Now you can say lesson learned. We officially returned them back home. Everyone makes mistakes, so learn from me. Next time you're in Hawaii, do not take the beautiful rocks.
So there's 2 videos I want you guys to take a look at. The first is a video that has gotten viral just a few days ago. Check it out.
Black, do not come to Hawaii unless you have a strong soul and you like hearing non-black people say the N-word in every sentence like it's their favorite word. You're fine with them beating you up if you say something about it. Don't ask how I know this, just beware. Heed my warnings. Every sentence, they say it. Everyone, and everyone is not black.
So yeah, as you can see, this video has been getting a lot of attention, especially from members of the black community, making the bold claim that people here in Hawaii would constantly and openly say the N-word. And if people were to call them out on that, they would get beat up. Now, I also want to say that I do not discredit what this lady has said, because most likely this perspective came from a personal occurrence. And of course, not everyone in Hawaii are perfect. There are still plenty of people, especially amongst our youth, that still has to be educated and corrected on this matter. Which begs the question, are people here constantly saying the N-word? No, they're not. Growing up here in Hawaii practically all my life, I rarely hear that being said in public. Because our Native Hawaiian community have also gone through racism and oppression due to colonialism. And that's where the N-word was rooted out of. And this is something that has to be reminded constantly within our community and our various communities here in Hawaii. That there is no excuse for using such racial terms. But also please understand that if one person within our various communities chooses to say such offensive and racist terms, that is on the individual. It does not reflect the entire community as a whole. But now I'd like to flip it around and show a video that was shown a few months ago.
You know, you look at the original Hawaiians, you know who the Duke is? Duke is, his name is like, it's so long. He was like an athlete. His name is like Malakalalakakoea. Duke looked like a black dude with straight hair. I was like, the Duke is like, he's like a god in Hawaii. And I said, the original Hawaiians, not the Japanese and the Samoans and the Philippines. I'm talking about the original Hawaiians. And the last queen of Hawaii was Liliuokalani, who they kicked out. Remember, they locked her up. She looked like a black lady. Looked at.
Unfortunately, this is a claim that we've been trying to correct for many years now. That due to the dark complexion of our ancestors, many people are claiming that our ancestors came from Africa. There is no physical or scientific evidence to support this theory. We within the Native Hawaiian community already know what our archaeological genealogy is, and it is not Africa. And also this concept or way of thinking that any person with a dark complexion or black skin has ancestral ties to Africa is also rooted out of colonialism. So let's review. Are people here in Hawaii constantly saying the N-word? No. Do Hawaiians have ancestral ties to the African continent? No.
So I moved to Hawaii temporarily, just like on a whim, packed my bags and got on a one-way flight. My best friend grew up here and she's always like, come visit Hawaii, da, da, da. I'm like, girl, you think I'm made of money? Like I can only visit cheap places. Like, I one time went to Iceland to see the Northern Lights. I couldn't afford a single meal. I had to just eat bread from the grocery store. People are like, what should I eat in Iceland? I don't know, whole wheat. But I of course put a picture of Hawaii on my vision board, just like a random stock photo that I found on Google Images. I just thought this picture was pretty and I didn't even know what island it was because there's a bunch. Started working remote and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna send it, I'm gonna go. Hit her up, I'm like, I'm coming. And then it all just aligned super fast. I get hooked up with my place. I do a FaceTime with the landlord. She's like, do you have a flight booked to Hawaii? Have you ever been here? Like, are you rich? I'm like, no. And she's like, you know what? I have better candidates, people who would stay long term. But I have a weird feeling that you're meant to be here. And I want to give you that opportunity. So come on. I was like, hello? And she was like, but you have to come in like 2 weeks. I was like, okay. So bought a flight. And at first I was like, yes, Hawaii beach. But then as the day gets closer, I start having a lot of anxiety. Like, it's so far from home. What if I go broke? What if I get eaten by a shark? And I have just been at home for the last year because my mom got diagnosed with cancer. So I came home to just spend all this time with my family. Luckily, my mom has beat cancer, but it's scary after all that we've been through in the last year to just up and leave. As the last time I left, I was in the Philippines and my mom called me and was like, hey, don't freak out, but I have cancer. So I think I just got a lot of anxiety and trauma about leaving. So I tried to sabotage the flight. I didn't pack. It was 2 hours before my mom comes in. She's like, aren't you supposed to leave today? I was like, yeah, in 2 hours. She's like, you know what? Throw something in a suitcase. I'm gonna take you to the airport. And when you're there, like, ask them if you could change the flight without like getting all these penalties, because she knows it's gonna probably cost me to change it online. So I literally throw a bunch of random stuff in a suitcase, like not even skincare routine, no beach towel, nothing, just like random like workout clothes, like some flip-flops, like no real shoes. And we go to the airport. I walk in, I see there's a long line for Delta. So I walk up to this lady, I'm like, hey, I just need to like move my flight, I'm gonna miss it. She's like, huh? She literally grabs me and is like, come with me, runs me to the front of the line and is like, take her bag right now. Call some man. He like rushes me through TSA. I skip everyone. He puts me on the air train and he's like, run. He's like, run, girl, run. And I was like, ah! And the gate closes in like 15 minutes. They like rush me through TSA, everything. I call my mom because my mom's waiting outside. Poor thing. I call her and she's like, oh, did you change your flight? That was fast. And I was like, I'm gonna make it. She's like, that's not possible. And I was like, yeah, like they just let me skip everyone. She starts dying laughing. I think she's gonna like get mad and be like, you're so dumb, you're gonna get on the flight, you don't even have anything, you packed so stupid, you're so last minute, blah, blah, blah. And she just goes, wow, when even you can't mess up destiny, don't be scared, I'll be right here, go do what I can. Go do what I can. And this never happens. Every time I'm late for a flight, they're like, okay, you should have been here 3 hours ago. So I make the flight. My connection's actually at 555. And you know those spiritual girls say 555 means you're on the right path. And when I landed, I looked out my window and I was like, that looks familiar. This is the view in front of me. I'm like, wait a dang minute. And so I pointed at it to my landlord. I was like, what's that? She's like, oh, that's the Diamond Head Crater. I showed her my vision board on my lock screen and I said, what's that? And she was like, oh, that's the Diamond Head and that's our house. And then she goes, is this your like vision board? And I was like, yeah. And then she goes, I knew you were meant to be here. So not only did I somehow manifest coming to Hawaii, I manifested the exact pinpoint location in which I would live. So I went to the crater to say thank you to God. And as I was leaving, a double rainbow appeared on a day it didn't rain.
I don't think that we can afford to live in Hawaii anymore. And even though the housing costs and grocery prices play a big part in why, that's not the main reason behind why we can't afford to live here anymore. It's solely because of the lifestyle that we want for our family. I wish that we could say we are homeowners, but we're not. We are still renting and we can't rely on living in this place forever. Our oldest is autistic and the resources here on this island and in Hawaii in general are just limited. And the island that we live on doesn't really have opportunities for my son to be around non-autistic people. And as parents to an autistic individual, we are craving that kind of community. And before you judge us, yes, we have definitely considered all options, like me going back to work, my husband picking up 2 jobs, which he already is, or if I can do a part-time job or work from home and all of that mumba jumba. But that's not as easy as everybody thinks it can be. And over the last year, I've been trying really hard to be an influencer and to get paid like an influencer, but it's a little bit harder when you don't have a big personality or you don't go viral. But I'm not giving up. I am still trying to make an income from content creation. But the hardest truth about all of this is that if me and my husband were more financially prepared in our 20s, then I wouldn't be talking about this today. But with 3 children, 1 income, and big dreams and big goals, it's just not realistic. But unless I go viral tomorrow, it's looking more like we're going to have to pause on calling Hawaii our home. But we're not giving up yet, and hopefully the plan that we have for the new year can make us stay.
If you claim you had a bad time visiting Hawaii and that the locals were unwelcoming and rude to you, first of all, just say Hawaiians instead of locals because we know who you really mean. And secondly, perhaps you did something to warrant that response, because until you live in a place where around 20,000 tourists fly in every single day, 9 to 10 million a year, and there are 7 tourists to every resident, and you have to deal with these tourists and all of their personalities every day, many of them with no home training, and they treat Hawaii like a playground or Disneyland, disrespect the rules and customs, and expect the people here to bow down and serve them head to toe, you will never understand why our patience for tourists start low and any little thing can set us off. This is our home. We live here every day, work multiple jobs, raise families, all for the state to prioritize tourism and wealthy land developers and give us scraps. It is 2025, and you should all know by now that tourism money goes to tourism industries and doesn't actually help the local community. If tourism was really important to us, why don't you see Hawaiian-owned hotels and resorts? Why are local businesses shutting down? How come the median price of a single-family home is $1 million? So unless you're here to actually learn about our culture or do something meaningful for us and help our community, go home, Haole. Who said that?
All right, y'all. Reason number 1 why you shouldn't move to Hawaii if you a bitch. I'm sitting on the couch talking on the phone with my mom when I see something hopping across the living room. I'm like, oh, whoa, what the hell? I scream like a girl, like, ah! I pick my feet up on the couch like this, and I'm like, there's a house in my motherfucking house! A mouse in my motherfucking house! And I'm screaming, y'all. And so my wife come downstairs and she's like, babe, what the hell is wrong? And I'm like, there's a house and my motherfucking mouse. A mouse in my motherfucking house. I couldn't even talk. I still can't talk. Just thinking about it. I was shook. Okay, y'all, so we got to figure out how to get this mouse out of our house. It gots to go. If you want to hear the story about the house and my mouse, check part 2.
I would get comments like this all the time growing up, and as a kid I never said anything back, but now that I'm grown, we're gonna address stuff like this. I genuinely thought that we moved past assuming shit about people based on what they look like, but obviously not, because I am apparently colonizing Hawaii as a native Hawaiian. And the fact that you would even comment this shows that you're probably not Hawaiian, because Hawaiians don't have this mindset that you have to look a certain way to be Hawaiian, or that you have to have a certain blood quantum to qualify as being Hawaiian. So take all the time and energy that you use to comment this and put it somewhere else and use it to do something else that actually benefits society in a meaningful way, and get off of my page, because this was weird.
One thing I never know how to respond to is if I'm like talking to a tourist here in Hawaii that's visiting, and they're like just so happy to be here. They're loving it, and they try to kind of compliment my home, you know, like where I live, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful here, like I don't think I could ever leave. I think I could totally see myself living here. And I'm like, no, please don't. That's the problem. You must go home.
These are 4 things that you do not do if you're looking to move to Hawaii, already living in Hawaii, and are not from Hawaii. Let's go. And if you are a willful student with this and really want to learn how to live in Hawaii appropriately and responsibly, we have our next course coming up for the Pono Cellular course to help you to know how to live in Hawaii in an ethical way. The link is in my bio. 1. You do not call yourself Hawaiian. I've seen a lot of people say that because they live in California, that now makes them a Californian. When you move to Hawaii, that does not make you Hawaiian. So do not claim to be so. Elua, do not buy property in Hawaii. And for those of you out there who need more context on this, if you know the percentages of people that are not from Hawaii moving into Hawaii, while there are a high percentage of our own people having to leave Hawaii, the reason is this. It is oftentimes because people who are coming to Hawaii without no understanding of our economic condition, our cultural context, they have a tendency to invest in real estate here that jack up the prices that end up pushing our own people out, dislocating us from our ancestral land and moving us into the American continent. And we don't belong there. Ekolu. Do not try to convince Hawaiians that we are a part of the United States. I state this because, yes, obviously we are considered to be the 50th state, but it has been proven in international law time and time again that actually the Hawaiian Kingdom was never legally annexed or overthrown in a legal manner. And when you try to take this approach of trying to convince us of our history and of our political stance of our own homeland, you're in trouble. And 4, my goodness, do not go into our cultural spaces without understanding protocol. I speak on this one because there are a lot of people that have a desire to go to these heavily spiritual places, our heiaus, our places of culture that are highly sacred, but they do not know any Hawaiian protocol in order to do that with an appropriate behavior. All we're saying is when you're in Hawaii, be pono. That's all. Aloha.
If your response to Native Hawaiians asking us not to go to Hawaii is we should be able to go anywhere in our 50 states as a part of our country, remember that it shouldn't be. We took Hawaii by force. Hawaii was an independent sovereign nation ruled by Queen Leleokalani until she was forced to give up her throne after a coup staged by Sanford B. Dole, like the Pineapple Dole. In fact, after he forced her to give up the throne in 1895, he was in charge up until the United States annexed Hawaii in 1898. However, Hawaii didn't become a state until over 60 years later in 1959 because the government didn't want Hawaiians in Congress, meaning that they didn't see Hawaiians as Americans and vice versa. And that sentiment is true today, likely even for you. Part of why y'all want to go to Hawaii so bad is not because it's beautiful, but because you have exoticized it in your minds, meaning that you don't see it as America. And now that we've done way more harm than good, the best thing we can do is help as we are told and then leave them alone.
How do you feel about tourists coming to Hawaii?
Tourists coming to Hawaii are not an issue. Tourists whom are entitled to do and whatever they please and act in whatever way they please without consciousness and without cognizance that they're in somebody else's home. That as much as we are a vacation backdrop to people, there's got to be something said for being conscious. When visitors come to Hawaii, it's as if we're not only their playground, but we're their shithole or their glory hole to do whatever the hell they want and to make like whatever they want. And that comes directly from being a part of the United States of America. American tourists think that because this is America, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Being American focuses on individual personal liberties and freedoms. Being Pacific Islander and even being Asian, we focus on a culture of we. We is greater than me. We think about what happens to a place after we come, utilize it, and if we trash it, the next person can't enjoy it. So it's our responsibility to pick up after ourselves. You know, that's not American mentality. American mentality is go ahead, use it, and well, if it gets screwed up, we'll just figure out how to mitigate it in the end.
This trend needs to go, like, all the way into the Kini Opala. Like, the one where it's like, help me convince my husband to move our family to Hawaii, and puts all these beautiful pictures of our Aina. No, all the way, no. I mean, I don't doubt that you guys are really nice people and all, but you guys cannot forget the fact that Hawaiians and local people are struggling so hard to stay in their homelands and where they're born and raised from for generations. Like, you can't deny that. So, like, this trend gotta go. This trend absolutely has to go. And like, it's hard to explain. I mean, it's really not, but it is. But I don't think people understand. The more outsiders, transplants that move to Hawaii, that straight up just contributes to the displacement of Hawaiians and local people. And we just absolutely cannot have that. Like, I think Kanaka Autonomy just put out a post today with some really eye-opening numbers of how many tourists come into Hawaii. And I think it was like out of 1.5 million people that live in Hawaii, only 300,000 are Native Hawaiian. Like, that's insane. That's insane. And it's insane that more Hawaiians live outside of Hawaii, their homelands, than in Hawaii. So we need to stop these very, very harmful trends, or these very harmful, like, I don't know, like romanticizing moving to Hawaii, because our people here are suffering and struggling and leaving by the day. And that's not even exaggerating. That's straight up truth. So yeah, I mean, I just saw one now and I was enraged, and thankfully I jumped into the comments and the people are already in there, you know, like, no, this isn't not it. Like, so Lahui's on it, but it's just, I don't know. It's so hard seeing those things.
I'm not Hawaiian, so I can't answer yes or no if it's ethical to visit Hawaii. As a white Filipino that was born and raised in Hawaii, I feel responsibility to advocate for things that benefit Hawaii, and especially Native Hawaiians. Here's what I would personally do if I was visiting Hawaii. Learn about the true history of Hawaii, because since moving to the mainland, I found that people literally don't know that it was illegally annexed and the sovereign kingdom of Hawaii was overthrown. And of course, there's so many repercussions that came with that. Another thing is to support local businesses. I find it really weird when people visit Hawaii and then they only stay in Waikiki. Very strange. Another easy thing you can do to make a positive impact is to sign up for community work days. There are a ton of opportunities to give back directly to the land. This one was at Papahana Kuo'ola, and here we were clearing out some invasive plants to make room for some native plants. Doing this will also teach you about the sacred relationship that the people of Hawaii have with the land. Also, it goes without saying, respecting the land. This includes wildlife. A lot of people don't know that there's literally laws that protect wildlife in Hawaii. Like, you can't get within a certain range of a turtle. You can't touch a turtle. I don't know. I think this is an important discussion to have. So let's keep having it.
Let me tell you why Hawaii sucks. There are probably a million reasons why, but I'm just gonna name a few. Shipping. Okay? Do I need to say more? Like, if you live in Hawaii, you know what I mean. Shipping either takes 4 months or it's $400. I am not even exaggerating. Like, when I was shopping for baby stuff and when we bought our house, I could not for the life of me get anything shipped here without it taking either 4 months or me paying the same price for the item as I am for shipping. It absolutely sucks living in the middle of the ocean because everything is so hard to get here and it just takes forever. I remember ordering something from, I can't remember where, but it kept getting delayed, and by the time it came, it was like I didn't even need it anymore. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was a bed frame. I'm not going to name drop any places because I guess it's not their fault. It's just that we live in Hawaii, so that's like inevitable, but it really sucks. Same for this baby. When I was shopping for our nursery, I was trying to look for a rocking chair, like a recliner chair, and the shipping is like $200 on a $200 chair, making that $400. Also, it would take over a month to get here, so it's almost like, why am I paying $200 for shipping? The next thing is trending things. I always see people posting, oh my gosh, run to Target, run to TJ Maxx, they have these dupes, or they have this, they have that. We don't have that. I swear Hawaii is not only the last to get music, but it's the last place to get stuff on our shelves. I'll give you an example. This Free People dupe bag was going around. I swear everyone and their moms had it, and they were getting it at TJ Maxx or Marshalls in the mainland. And I've been hawking and stalking Hawaii's one, and that bag is just non-existent. I also don't see anyone else from Hawaii talking about it, so I know it's not even on the island. Going back to music, that kind of like is the same thing. Like when songs shop on the radio, it's already like a year old. Another thing is secondhand items. We have like 5 thrift stores on the island, and they're all not that great. If I'm being completely honest, it is so much better in the mainland to find secondhand stuff. Like it's almost comparable to retail stuff. Down here, it's trash, trust me. I know that when I go to a thrift store in the mainland, I will at least find 5 things minimum. Down here, I can spend 2 hours in a thrift store and not walk out with a single thing. Another thing that I think is very obvious is the cost of living. Cost of living here freaking sucks. So does the economy, so does everything else, like gas, like everything. It's ridiculous. There's a reason my parents moved away to retire and didn't stay here. I was so against that graduating high school. I was like, you guys are leaving me, like how are you guys leaving your home? Like how can you do that? Now I understand. I would not want to be slaving away till I'm freaking 80 years old trying to pay off a mortgage or like pay off groceries. That is just like bizarre to me. And by pay off groceries, I just mean like affording groceries every week at like $400 or $500 a week. Just to put things in perspective, if you didn't know, a gallon of milk here is starting at like $8 to $9. Okay, starting. Some places it goes up to like $15, $16 for 1 gallon of milk. Like, how is that legal? Hawaii is nice and all, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to diss our island, our state, but it is very hard out here. I am 29 years old. I'm going to be 30. I've lived here all my life, and it's the same thing. It's every time I leave and I come back, it's the same thing. Like, Hawaii is one place you can count on for it to never change. I actually did, back in like 2014, I moved away for 1 year, and I came back home, and I swear nothing has changed. This is the slowest moving state to ever exist, okay? Just living in the mainland for 1 year gave me such a taste of like what's out there and how things move, and just it's like crazy how slow we are here. Again, I'm not here to fully bash our state. I'm just saying that like our mentality and how we work is just like slower. I feel like in the mainland everything is so fast paced and it's like constantly moving. Down here it's just like cruise, chill, you know, lax. Okay, that is all I have to say about Hawaii, but if you're thinking about moving here, maybe this video will make you reconsider.
If Hawaiians tell us not to come to their home, why do some of you still keep going? Yes, it's beautiful. Love trips. There are a million other places for us to go. Let what's happening right now in Hawaii be another reminder as to why they say we're taking their resources. There are thousands of tourists being flown and relocated to different islands. Meanwhile, Native Hawaiians are dying. All because you want to travel there and go to a beach and flick up? Please be serious.
So ironic that I was just watching a video last night of this local brada who came across a news article, of course, from some malahini in America, encouraging and advising other pilgrims of like, it was like the top 5 places to retire in Hawaii. And the 5 places they named are all super rural places. It was like Molokai, Waianae, Pahoa on the Big Island, like all these places where if you're from here, you absolutely know are not safe, let alone like retiree age friendly. And he did a good job about being nice and kind about why that's absolutely just insanity on so many levels. But I want to report from the front lines, a big major part of his explanation expressed healthcare. If you are in retirement age, healthcare should be at least a big deal to you and something that you take into consideration, and how this article completely just glazes over the fact that the areas they're recommending to retire in Hawaii are the worst to live in if you require any type of healthcare, because they're hours away from any hospital. The hospital within its vicinity is still on the bottom of the barrel, so like the worst hospital. So you're recommending these retirement age individuals to go to these places and gentrify them, while also not considering that this specific age group likely has health conditions that need long-term management, and they will not have access to that. So he did a really good job at that. But I just wanted to second that. And if this video comes across any of those people's pages, if you are considering moving, let alone retiring to Hawaii, fucking don't. Fucking don't. I just dealt all morning with 2 of these incidences where there are 2 elderly couples who came in for their long-term pre-existing chronic health conditions that decided to move to rural Big Island, Hawaii, and are pissed at the fact that they cannot get the care that they need. That's the way that's just the way it goes. And they like come to, I work in acute care, they come to us expecting that we can somehow prioritize them or like get them into these specialists that they need. Here's what you guys need to understand. You are choosing to move to one of the most geographically isolated places on the planet. You need to have a fundamental understanding of what you are signing up for. And the very top of that list, if you are age 60 or above, especially if you are completely aware that you have pre-existing chronic medical conditions, is the quality of care that you come here expecting you are not going to get. That's the bottom line. The resources are already limited, and people have been waiting to see specialists that sometimes don't even exist. You need to understand that sometimes the specialists that you need do not exist here. There is no law requiring these people to come and open practices here. There is also no law requiring any kind of specialist to stay here. And that's what happens a lot of time, is they get here and realize that we are understaffed, over fucking whelmed, and underpaid, and everything is fucking expensive. So why would they practice here and make pennies and scrape by to survive with a doctorate degree that they're likely in debt for, than just do it somewhere in America where it's worth it? That's what happens. That's our reality. So don't come here until you've done your due diligence and understand exactly what you're signing up for. Because you're going to get here, you're not only going to be disappointed, you're going to get sick because you're not going to get the care that you're used to. And then you're going to come here and make it everybody else's problem. I just got yelled at all morning for things that are completely out of my control. There is absolutely nothing I can do. You need a cardiologist. You had a cardiologist and you decided you wanted to move to Hawaii. And now the cardiologists that are available here have wait lists. They have wait lists. You're not going to see that cardiologist for at least 6 months. And that's just what it is. Well, what do I do? That's insane. It is. You're right. You don't think that the locals here have been saying this to our legislators and our politicians and every single hospital that we've all been on wait lists for our entire lives? We know. Everyone is aware. You are the only one who did not do your due diligence before coming here. That's it. That's my rant for the day. Bye.
Anyways, you guys have seen all of that video, why a lot of people are choosing and saying that, oh, do not come to Hawaii. One thing I know is, to every country, they have the good side and they have the bad side. And to every country, they have their rules and regulation. And that is why I keep telling immigrants that are going to America, I said, if you cannot keep to the rules and regulation of America, why going to that place? If you cannot respect the people of America, especially the people that built America, which are the Black Americans, why are you going? Why will you be in someone's country and at the end of the day, you don't want to adhere to their rules and regulation? So I feel like Hawaii is one of those country. I don't know if it's a country or a state. Let me know in the comment section, right? But for most of the knowledge I have about Hawaii is the fact that a lot of people see that place as a tourist zone where you can actually explore a lot of things, right? But a lot of people are saying, do not come. And you can hear from their reasons. Some people are talking about culture, that a lot of immigrants that come to Hawaii do not respect their culture. A lot of them want to like pull up a fight with the people in the country, and of which at the end of the day, the people in the country are not just easy to go with. So if you are this kind of person that you cannot respect people's culture, you cannot obey the simple rules and regulation or adhere to it, do not move to Hawaii to go and stay, or do not even think of getting your tickets for you to go get anything like tourists. Look at one of the lady in this particular contest, where this lady literally picked up some stones from the island, or whatever, what do we call it, from from beach. She picked up some cute stones from beach, and she didn't even know that she is not even supposed to do that. And when she actually saw a video talking about it, that you don't pick stones from Hawaii's beach, she have to go back to the beach to return those stones, which means returning their properties. And let's just be honest, to some of their cultural blah 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 that I have seen and I have read about and I have studied, it's quite weird for me, where you can literally not even give your child an Hawaiian name except you have like a link to the ancestral what, and it is designated for you to give. And if you actually do that, maybe you actually said, oh, I love this, the way this Hawaiian name actually sound, and then you have to name your child, that there is every possibility that that child is actually going to die. But if you're watching as someone that is from Hawaii, let me know in the comment section every single thing that these people have been able to say. Is that the honest truth, or are people just framing it up, blah blah blah? I just want to know. But I will keep saying it, every single person have every single diverse way of how the country behaves. The first thing I would advise you, if you're going to any country, especially you're going for tourists, or you're going to now stay there, probably you get a job and you're relocating to that country, the first thing I'll advise you is you have to study that particular country, study the people of that country, study the rules and regulation of that country, and adhere to the country's rules and regulation, so that at the end of the day you don't have issues that we take you backward instead of forward. I don't know if I'm saying something, because a lot of people go to people's country without doing any research. They just know that this is a tourist center, let's just go and do the tourist, and once they get there they start misbehaving. It's just a whole lot. But let me know what you think about this video. Credit belongs to the original creator of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And I want you to know that in as much as a lot of people are saying do not move to Hawaii, a lot are also saying that move, that Hawaii is a nice place, Hawaii is a good place, blah blah blah. It's just not so, right? Anyways, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, remember that credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches I have in today's episode. And I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Let me know in the comment section, will you be moving to Hawaii or will you not be moving to Hawaii? Let me know what you think.